Hello everybody and welcome back. We are here today for a Hearthstone video because we just got a lot of information on the new expansion to Hearthstone, the Grand Tournament. A lot of people thought it was going to be the Argent Tournament from the information they gave out, obviously referencing the Argent Tournament from World of Warcraft. But they seem to have dropped the Argent part. I guess just to kind of rebrand it, come out with something a little fresher, a little more new. And we obviously did get a lot of cards. Now, there's actually a card, I'm not entirely sure how it came about. These are the cards that were officially released by Blizzard for the Grand Tournament. These are the ones that have been shown so far. Obviously, there's going to be more. I believe these card backs here are going to become the cards that are going to be shown before it is released. And then there is going to be total 130 cards released when the Grand Tournament comes out. But today we're not here to talk about all these cards. These cards, although very interesting, don't change the game entirely. However, there is this card. It is a legendary that was released called Justicar Trueheart. Now, this card it's very interesting. There is a new aspect coming to the game called Inspire. As you can see in the other cards here, for example, Lowly Squire, it's kind of the introduction card to the Inspire mechanic. Inspire is basically whenever you use your hero power. So whenever you use your hero power, Lowly Squire will gain 1 attack. So it'll become a 2/2 after 1 hero power use, which honestly isn't the best. You're not going to give up turn 2 just to use your hero power and give this 1 extra attack. Like, you're wasting turn 2 on, I don't know, gaining 2 armor and a 2/2 on a card and a hero power. Like, it's not the most efficient use. But obviously it was just kind of an introduction card to kind of show us how Inspire works. There is kind of more interesting ones called Coda Rider. Also Thunderbluff Valiant. I'll talk about that later. Very interesting card. Really excited for it, actually. Really excited for Shaman in general. But Justicar Trueheart does change the hero power to a better one, which is interesting. It's very vague when you look at the first place, but there is kind of a graphic here that shows us all the different hero powers. It also has it in the page here, but this gives kind of a easier looking view. Justicar Trueheart is obviously a neutral legendary with a 6/3 mana curve, or a 6/3 stat line with a 6 mana cost, which isn't good. 6/3 is not good. It can die to Razorfin Raptor. Like, this card, stat line, not impressed with it. But I'll talk about the battle cry more so. This card, I'm really excited. It's gonna improve a lot of decks. It's gonna improve kind of mid-range, late game kind of decks. So you're playing the slow game with Justicar Trueheart. So what does it do to each of the classes? Well, if you're priest, it basically doubles all the hero powers, except the ones that can't really be doubled. With priest, it's a 2 mana 4 heal, which is pretty good. For rogue, it's a 2/2 weapon. Now I'll talk about that in a bit. The totemic slam is for shaman. You summon a totem of your choice. Now this is interesting because people are freaking out. There is a new totem actually, called Totem Golem. It's pretty powerful. It's a 2 mana 3/4 with an overload of 1. Now it's not entirely powerful on its own because of the overload. It kind of sacrifices your turn 3 play. But with Tuskar Totemic, summon any random totem. This guy already has an okay stat line. It's a 3/2, but you don't really need that extra HP. It's gonna die to most things anyway. But the battle cry of summon any random totem, you can summon this 3/2 for 3 mana and then get a 3/4 without the kind of cost of the overload. That's kind of insane. But it was confirmed on Twitter by the community manager. I think his name is Robert. Yeah, Robert. That you can only choose between any of the 4 standard hero power totems. So obviously the 1/1, the spell damage, the heal, and the what do you call it, taunt. So I honestly think even though you can't summon the totem golem, which would be broken as hell, it is still a very powerful card. Being able to summon a taunt for 2 mana every turn that you have the spare mana, it makes kind of mid-range, late-game Shaman a lot stickier and harder to deal with. Also, the heal allows your minions to stick on the board more. Spell damage, obviously, your Shaman, you have a lot of spells that do damage. Malagos Shaman, I don't know if they can entirely benefit from this, but obviously spell damage or spell power for Shaman is good. So the soul tap for Warlock, draw a card without the 2 health cost. Now, I honestly don't. I've played Warlock a good bit before, but I don't think Warlock is entirely kind of suited to go for the late game. Obviously they can pull off crazy ass combos with stuff like Arcane Golem, Power Overwhelming, Faceless Manipulator, that kind of combo. But the 2 mana draw card, not that impressive. Obviously, it is good if you have the spare mana. Just draw a card. Fine, fair enough. But I don't know. I'm not that impressed with the Warlock one. It will help it late game, just if it runs out of steam. But honestly, not that big. The Warrior one, however, the 4 armor for 2 mana. I am so excited to replace a Shield Maiden with this card. Like, it's gonna fill pretty much the same spot as Shield Maiden, except trade a little bit worse off. Find the 6 attack stat line it's good. It can still get rid of Thorsands or Sylvanas or something like that. Something which would get the opponent a lot of worth if it wasn't killed off. However, like, the 3 health is a big drawback to this card. Like, it can die to, as I said, Razorfen Raptors. It can die to the, I think it's Puddle Stomper, the Murloc, the 3/2 no effect Murloc. It can die to Patron. It can die to Dark Cultist, or Dark Bomb, or Shadow or Death. It can die to a lot of low mana cards. However, which is very prevalent with this card, is that if you're going for the long haul, if you're going for the kind of late game, long running kind of thing, she'll get a lot of worth. Like, she'll get a lot of worth. Like, 4 armor for 2 mana in Warrior. Control Warrior already didn't have a problem with getting armor. This is going to make it a lot easier. Plus, I don't know. I don't really like Shield Maiden that much because she doesn't stick on the board. She pretty much trades for one thing and then dies. Which obviously it is a worthwhile card to have, but the Justicar Trueheart offering the 4 armor 2 mana hero power for Warrior is going to be insane. I really want to try it out. See if it will actually be as powerful as I think. So moving on, the Paladin hero power turns into the Silver Hand. Summoning 2 1/1 recruits. Interesting. It's kind of a slight buff to the Quartermaster, which is interesting. Another interesting thing is in the card set, if I can find the card here. Okay, I think the list I was looking at beforehand is actually kind of a more leaked list, but there is a neutral card coming out which has the Inspire effect of summoning a 1/1 Silver Hand recruit. So it's a neutral card that kind of has a lot of Paladin aspects to it, which is weird. Like, we don't usually get neutral cards which really relate to a class. Obviously, there's stuff like Mad Scientist that uh, they kind of go well with certain classes, like obviously Mage and Hunter getting the secret sight, but it's very rare that we see a neutral doing something like that. But anyway, back to Justicar Trueheart. The 2/1/1 recruits, obviously a buff to Quartermaster. However, it can't be played in the same turn unless you have the coin. Or obviously it's been hit by Emperor Thaurissan, reduce it by a mana or two. I kind of like the summon 2/1/1 recruits. It's good for just kind of absorbing damage. It's weird. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's gonna be pretty good. Paladin already can flood the board pretty easy. Actually, this is gonna be pretty good for Hobgoblin decks as well. Eboladin's gonna be kind of good. Kind of have a late gamey thing going on there, but plus the Divine Favor keeps their hand up, so I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see that. Not really sure how that's gonna go. The Mage hero power increases by 1 damage, which people are saying is insane. I like it. It's a cool idea. It does add a lot to Mage, but I don't think the 6/3 body is entirely useful for a Mage. So I'm not super impressed by that one. The the Hunter hero power, deal 3 damage to the enemy hero. As if Hunters didn't have enough face damage, am I right? I don't really see it being played. I think mid-range, late game Hunters, if they become a thing with this update, which it looks like they're trying to support. They have the Ball of Spiders, which is kind of it's a 6 mana spell, which is a lot. It's kind of a worse Dark Whispers, but it gives you a little bit more hand advantage. It kind of stops Hunters from running out of steam. Also, the lock and load kind of forces you to go into late game and then spam your spells. It is kind of a nod at kind of mid-range late game Hunters, which we are seeing a little bit more of with the hybrid Hunter. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes as well. The 3 damage to the enemy hero, obviously not doubled like most of them are, because 4 damage to the enemy hero would be ridiculous. It's 1 extra damage than a Dark Bomb, plus you don't have to spend a card on it. It's already a Dark Bomb that you don't have to spend a card on, but anyway. The Druid hero power, however, when I first saw this I didn't think it was good, because it's kind of comparable to the Rogue hero power, which I will talk about. Like it on turn 6 when you summon Justicar Trueheart. Well, on turn 6 if you summon Justicar Trueheart, you can't hero power. You can't activate your hero power in the same turn. Which means turn 7 you'll be doing it and summoning something 5 mana or playing a 5 mana spell, which isn't entirely strong. However, if you think about it, it could get 2 armor. That's basically the regular warrior. Well, it is the regular warrior hero power on a druid, which is already reasonably tanky because of the amount of taunts and ramp that they have. Also, they have things like Tree of Life, Healing Touch, I believe the card's called. Yeah, Healing Touch. Obviously, Antique Healbot, sorry, is a card that exists. So they do have access to a lot of healing. Also with this, they have access to double the amount of armor from their hero power as they would have. Plus the 2 attack. The 2 attack isn't as relevant late game as it is early game. Early game you can trade for creatures with 1 attack with that. However, late game, it's going to be big creatures. It's going to be things like Sludge Belchers. It's going to be Thaurissan. It's going to be, I don't know, Ironbark Protectors, something like that. Which the 2 attack doesn't entirely help with. It chips away at big creatures, but it doesn't kill them. Plus you have to absorb the face damage. Fine, you're gaining an extra armor because you summon Justicar Trueheart, but I don't really think that the usefulness is as much late as it is early. However, if you can just pull off an absolute miracle and go second, okay, with so that you have the coin, you have 1 mana and 2 innervates, and you have Justicar Trueheart in hand, that's a turn 1 Justicar Trueheart. For the entire game, you have a hero power that gives you 2 armor and 2 attack. That would be probably one of the most GG no re turn 1s ever. However, that would use all of your turn 1 hand minus 1 card. No. Yeah. No, that would be all of your turn 1 hand minus 2 cards. So you would kind of have to have card draw with that. In Druid, not that hard to do, but I don't know. Druid, not overly impressed. Now, Rogue, I left that to last because it's a lot like the Druid, except in my opinion not as good. But now I'm thinking about it, it is a little bit sort of better in a way, in an offensive way, than the Druid. It does give you a 2/2 weapon, which it's good for 2 mana, but like, I don't know how to word it. It's not as powerful as you'd expect from summoning a creature with basically 3 stats less than it should have for its mana. Like, you're only gaining 1 attack. You can summon a Goblin Auto Barber for that. You can Deadly Poison for 1 extra attack. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can do in Rogue that makes it easier to get a weapon that powerful, but then again, you have to think about the fact that this is persistent. This hero power will stay throughout the entire game. So it is very strange. The same rule kind of applies to the Rogue hero power with Justicar Trueheart that it does with the Druid. 2 attack late game, not that relevant. You're going to be against big things, as I said, Taurosan, Ironbark, whatever. It's going to chip, it's not going to kill anything. Unless you have, I don't know, Tinker's Sharp Sword Oil, or Deadly Poison, or Goblin Auto Barber, it's not going to kill anything late game, unless the enemy's running out of steam. Or if they don't have taunts, you can chip at their face. The 2 attack, it doesn't seem relevant to me in Rogues. So, basically what I think Justicar Trueheart is going to be best in, I could see it being used in Shaman actually. The choosing a taunt every turn seems kind of powerful late game, honestly. Like, taunting every turn late game. Everyone's been in that matchup where they're against a Shaman, it's late game, you just need to hit them in the face like once, and they get a taunt every turn. You're both running out of steam, and they get a taunt every single turn. It's painful. And with this, they can consistently do it every game. If they draw Justicar Trueheart, and if they survive to the point where they can summon her and get use out of the hero power. I honestly think Priest, it's going to be pretty good for them. They kind of rely on board control, keeping their minions alive, and the 4 health is a lot. Especially with things like Ancient Blade Master. This means you can heal them up to full. Things like Death Lords, you can keep them alive even further. It does help Priest quite a lot. Plus, obviously, healing face for 4 is good. Warlock, don't think it's overly good. As I said, Rogue, not entirely impressed. Don't think it's as relevant, but I think in stuff like the oil Rogue, it's slightly better. The warrior one, obviously, I'm the most excited about. This is going to fit so well in Control Warrior in my mind. Hopefully it works out the way I want it to. The Paladin, it's okay. It can work in decks just kind of for flooding the board, getting a little bit of extra damage, like chip damage in. Better trades, better in Quartermaster, better in Hobgoblin. The Mage Hero Power, not entirely sure what to think. 2 damage, it's not an awful lot, but it's not it's not weak at the same time. You're not absorbing face damage like you are with the rogue or the druid hero powers. The hunter, I can't really see it being relevant unless they get kind of more support for the mid to late game. And finally, the druids, we'll have to see. The 2 armor is very nice. It is the warrior hero power, the standard warrior hero power. Plus you get 2 attack for it, so it's good. You can chip at face, you can chip at big creatures, but obviously you'd be absorbing face damage there if it has more than 2 attack. So I'm excited to see Justicar Trueheart come into the game, and I'm excited to see what else they release for this expansion, because this is one of the cards that I'm most excited about, and I don't think I've been this excited for a card since, God, I don't even know. Chromagus is one of my favorite cards. So I think since Chromagus, or Nefarian, because a lot of the big dragons, they do have interesting effects. So yeah, I'm very excited to see this card come out and see the grand tournament in general, and hopefully fit it in my warrior deck if it's powerful. Looks like it will be. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you find it informational. Hopefully we'll be doing more on the grand tournament cards, because it does look like a very interesting expansion with a lot of new aspects for the game, strengthening a lot of decks that aren't maybe as popular, such as good old pirates. Oh yes, I don't think this card's overly good, but talk about that some other time. Hope you have a nice day. See you later.